Hi, in this video I'm going to talk about 5 must-know essential Vectors GCSE Maths facts for Foundation. Then we're going to use these facts to look at an exam type question, and I will give you a worked solution to that question. Before we get started, please click the subscribe button and the bell icon. That way, when I put out videos on topics related with GCSE Maths, you will get notified. Why do we need to learn about vectors? Simply put, vectors are a really important part of maths. Science describes the world we live in, and maths is the language of science. And vector maths is used in lots of places. The things we hear most about are forces, projectiles, kind of the mechanics part of physics. But vector maths is also used in 3D graphics in computer games, and so forth. Our first essential fact is vectors have size. Most things have size, so this is not really anything special. But taking a real-life example of a vector, for example a force has a value in newtons which represents the size of the force. Another vector example would be velocity, which has a value in meters per second. Therefore, vectors have size. But as I said already, non-vector quantities called scalars also have size. So having size does not necessarily make a quantity a vector. The second essential fact is that vectors have direction. Now this is a more significant difference. This has a bearing when you're adding or subtracting. If you think about it, something like a force, two people are pushing a broken down car. If both people push in the same direction, the car is going to move. But if they're pushing in opposite directions with equal force, the car won't move, and then you have a problem. The third essential fact about Vectors GCSE Maths is that vectors can be written in different ways. There is the bold lowercase letter, there are two capital letters with an arrow on the top, there are column vectors, which are a bit like coordinates, except instead of the numbers being next to each other, one number is above the other. The fourth essential fact about Vectors GCSE Maths you need to know is that vectors can be added. Graphically, if you have two vectors on a page, you just lie them end to end and then draw a line from the start of the first vector to the end of the second. This line represents the combined added vector, which results from the addition of the two vectors. It is also called the resultant. If you're adding using column vectors, then it's really simple. You add the top two numbers, then the bottom numbers, then you get a result which represents the added vector. An important point to note is that when you are putting vectors end to end, then the arrows must be in the same general direction. We will cover more on this when we tackle the exam level question. The fifth and final essential fact you need to know is you can multiply a number, or a scalar as it can be called, with the vector. What you get is a bigger or longer vector if you're drawing the vector when the specified number is greater than 1. Here we show 2a is twice the length of a, but in the same direction, or parallel to a. Likewise, 4a is 4 times the length of a, but in the same direction as a and 2a. Something important to remember is that if you multiply the vector by a negative number, the direction of the vector is reversed. Okay, so now let's use these essential facts to solve an exam type question on vectors. The question states ABC is a triangle where AB equals 5a plus b and CB equals minus 6a plus 2b. P is the midpoint of BC. Express AC and AP in terms of A and B. Now, firstly, the word vector is not in the question. So how do we know that we need to use vectors to solve it? Well, looking at the drawing, we have lines with arrows, and we have a bold lowercase letter, and we have uppercase letters with arrows above the letters. From our third essential fact, we know these are all ways to write vectors. We know it's a vector question, but what part of our vector knowledge do we need to use? Now, with questions at this level, there's quite a high chance that you will need to use vector addition. Recalling earlier what we said when adding vectors, you need to lie them end to end, and both vectors should point in a similar direction. So we need to use this knowledge of vector addition to find AC and AP. The first vector we need to find is AC. This would be AB plus BC. AB and BC are both vectors. But hold on a minute, the arrow on BC is pointing the wrong way. Therefore, we need to point it the right way, and here's a tip. We can do this by multiplying by -1. If you want to reverse a vector, then you multiply by -1. Therefore, to get what the vector BC is, we multiply -6a plus 2b, which is CB, by -1. So we multiply each term by -1, which gives 6a minus 2b is BC. We add this to AB, which is 5a plus b, and adding the a's, 5a plus 6a is 11a, and adding the b's, b minus 2b gives you minus b. So the answer is 11a minus b. We have used vector addition to solve the first part of the question. Now let's tackle the second part. P is the midpoint of BC. Therefore, BP is half times BC, using our fifth vector fact. This half times 6a minus 2b gives VP as 3a minus b. So AP is 5a plus b plus 3a minus b. Adding the a's, 5a and 3a gives 8a. Adding the b's is b plus minus b, which is 0. Therefore, AP is 8a, and we have now found both answers to this question. So to review, in this question we have used the essential facts we have already learnt about vectors. You add them by lying them end to end. If you have a vector, you can reverse the direction by multiplying by -1, and multiplying by half gives you the midpoint of a vector. We have now reached the end of this video on 5 essential Vectors GCSE Maths facts for foundation. Thanks for watching, and please like, subscribe, and share this video if you found it useful. Bye for now.